Hello guys, another quick tutorial. Right, let's start. It's Phil Radford, by the way. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with Polycube, and I'll just talk you through what we're doing while I'm scanning this up and down and that. I'm going to be creating just a piece of glass meshing towards the camera. A client wanted me to do this recently, so I thought I'd show you how I did it. So there we go, there's our piece of glass. Where's the grid? Let's pull in the camera. Now these tutorials are sort of fairly intermediate, so I'm not going to talk through the process of how to create a polygon cube, etc. I might at some point do some tutorials that are a bit more basic, but not for this. Let's just open up the globals and change our screen width to a widescreen, and let's just bring up the resolution gate so you can see this is not quite the right size. Let's just scale it up a little bit, bring it into about there, and let's just scale it in a little bit. Right, that's great. Let's lock the camera. Just grab that, right click, lock selected. Cool, that's locked. Let's go back into this window. Let's delete the history. Before we apply the DMM object, we have to freeze the transformation. So I got really stuck with this when I first started using DMM. Luckily Vic at Pixelux sorted me out on that really quickly, so thanks for that, Vic. So we are going to generate a tech mesh. Let's just open up the asset manager and turn the face count up to about 3000, just because I'm crazy like that. Let's turn that scene up to about 500. So we are now going to create a splinter mesh from a splinter bitmap image. So we just click on this up here and it opens up the library, which is the DMM libraries. It's got a few bitmaps in here. Let's click open on that, and this broken glass one makes sense. While that's coming in, it will take a minute to come in, so don't bother trying to move around or force it to work, because you'll end up crashing Maya or something. You can make your own bitmaps and save them into your own source images folders for splinter files. You can also modify these ones. You can bring those into Photoshop, modify them, but you'll have to bring them back and put them in your own directory, not within the DMM library. Let's just scale that up around our mesh. 4. Bring it in a bit. Just go to our camera, I'll be able to see a bit better. Scan in X. Let's open up the outliner. Let's just grab that splinter image and our mesh and apply using this icon here. And there we go, you can just about see the pattern on the mesh. That's great. While I'm here, I'm just going to add a new material. Use glass. Makes sense, really. So we now know that if we play it, it's just going to drop down. It's not going to help anyone. So I'm going to stick in some passive regions first, just to lock certain areas. Across there, click back on another passive region. Bring that up again. More. Alright, there we go. So if we hit play now, it's probably just going to fall down from within itself. No, I thought we might see some cracking going on, but never mind. That's fine. Okay, so now we need to create something that's going to smash through it. So I'll just create a sphere primitive. Just bring that back. I should mention that I'm using the full version of DMM, which obviously doesn't come with Maya. And I very much recommend getting that, especially if you're using it in production. Let's just turn that sphere into a passive. It's cheap, it's really cheap, and it's just a fantastic bit of kit. So let's just key that Z. Key that Z. Now I should say that my client that wanted this done wanted the glass to smash out in slow motion, so we're just going to try and replicate that. Let's just do a quick play. Crash. Yeah, seems to be working quite well. Get some quite big chunks going on though, and I sort of want to break that up a bit really, get some much smaller shards going. So let's just clean this scene up a little bit. Let's just click on the mesh, go into open the asset manager, turn off the driven tech mesh. We're going to grab all of these outside passive regions and stick them on their own layer, turn that off. Also going to do the same thing with the sphere. Pull that back. Just going to have a look at the material quickly. Do that by clicking on this icon, and I'm going to bring the toughness right down. Density, obviously that's the weight. I don't want to bring the stiffness down too much because we'll end up stretching the polygons, but I want to bring it down a little bit. Okay. Obviously the only other one I'd probably look at is friction, but as we are using glass, it makes sense to have it down further, but the glass isn't going to affect anything. It's not landing on the floor, so we don't need it to sort of slip around or anything. Excuse me. The other thing I want to do is, when this sphere smashes through here, it's not sort of splintering out the middle of it as I'd like. So I'm going to create what I call a beak for the front of this. Try and guesstimate. It's just parent that on there by clicking P, and let's just quickly open up the asset manager and turn it into a passive object. See that everything's beginning to drop down now before this has hit the object, which I knew was going to happen. That's because we've changed the material attributes. So first thing to do with this is to create a huge passive region that covers the entire thing. I'm basically going to say to it, don't do nothing, mate, until Beaky Boy gets here. So let's play that. Stop. And I'm going to key this passive region on Y. Now I'm going to move forward one frame. I'm going to pull this up, and then Beaky Boy can smash through. I'm going to put that on its own layer so we haven't got to see it. Just hit play. You can see that some of it's still falling away around the edges. I'm probably going to pull down my passive regions a bit just to nip some of that in. But you see we're getting tons more shards now. The middle's breaking up a lot more because we've got this more angular shape that's come and smashed through it. I should have turned that off actually. Now the next thing we're going to need to do is, because we're trying to achieve the slow motion effect of this, is to get the scene node. Select the scene node, open it up in the attribute editor, and we're just going to go and mess with gravity a bit, turn it down to about -1. It's going to change things an awful lot. And we're just going to switch off this guy. And I might go and look for my camera. We're just going to do a quick play blast, just so we can watch it normal time, to see if any of this glass comes in towards the camera, and looking for a nice dynamic sort of look. Yeah, that's looking pretty cool. I think we've got enough small parts there. If I was to add any smaller sort of glass dust, I'd probably do that with a little particle setup. I'm not going to do that in this tutorial. It's quite nice. Let's just play that. Boom. We could slow this down more. Could make our objects slower coming through the glass. Could take the gravity down even further, or we could render out a much higher frame rate and slow it down in post-production. So let's just quickly drop down some of those passive regions just to make it a bit nicer around the edges. So in here, in here. I'm rushing this obviously, guys. I'm trying to keep within a certain amount of minutes for file size, etc. I think a good thing to do as well is to up your sub-steps when you're doing this sort of thing. And that's sub-steps, not dubstep. Just take that up a bit. You can take this up quite high before anything slows down too much. I might take that down to about minus 0.5. There's some really crazy stuff going on. Let's get back through here. Turn it off. Crypto blast. I think we're done. Cool. It's breaking up nicely now. If you wanted some bigger chunks, probably put that toughness up a little bit more. And you'll probably find that you get some bigger chunks mixed with smaller shards, but for this tutorial that's just fine. Yeah, it's pretty cool, guys. So I guess just now we put a glass shader on it, light it nicely, bit of motion blur, maybe render off a luminance pass, and just add a bit of depth of field in post here and there. Let's just have a look at that in real time. Let it run through. Boom. Yeah, pretty cool. There we go. Well, there's another quick tutorial. Hope it helped. Any questions, feel free to leave a comment or drop me an email. Cheers, guys.